In a film about a 200-foot ape and a nuclear lizard, the most important character never said a single word out loud. She was a little girl. She spoke with her hands, and she was the only person on Earth that Kong would listen to. Her name was Kaylee Hottle. This week, we lost her. This is who she was. Kaylee was born on the 1st of May, 2007, in Atlanta, Georgia, into an all-deaf family. American Sign Language wasn't something she picked up for a role. It was her first language, the language of her home, her parents, her entire world. She grew up in a house where conversation was something you watched, where jokes and arguments and bedtime stories all happened in the air between people's hands. Nobody in that house was planning a Hollywood career. Here's how it actually happened. And it's the kind of thing that only happens once. Kaylee appeared in a commercial. Not for a studio, for a company called Convo, a video relay service built for deaf users. The kind of ad most of Hollywood would never see. But an assistant director who had worked on Kong Skull Island did see it, and he noticed something. There was a character in the next film they hadn't cast yet. A young deaf girl, the last of her people. And this kid in the commercial matched her. She wasn't chasing the industry. The industry found her in an advertisement made for her own community. What happened next is genuinely extraordinary, and I don't think it got the credit it deserved at the time. She was cast as Gia in Godzilla vs. Kong, a $200 million blockbuster at the center of an entire franchise. She was 13 when it reached theaters. She had filmed it years before that, as a little girl. And here's the thing about that movie. Strip away the monsters and the spectacle, and the emotional engine of the whole film is a child and an ape who have no conventional way to speak to each other, and who find a way anyway. Gia signs to Kong. Kong signs back. That's the heart of it. That's the scene people remember. Which means the entire emotional weight of a tentpole blockbuster was resting on a deaf kid with no formal training, acting opposite something that wasn't there. A tennis ball on a stick. A mark on a wall. Ask any veteran actor. That is the single hardest thing you can be asked to do. Her co-star Alexander Skarsgård said this about working with her. It's fascinating how comfortable she is in front of the camera, and how quickly she takes notes from the director. And then there's the detail I keep coming back to. Rebecca Hall and Alexander Skarsgård, two established, in-demand actors, learned American Sign Language so they could speak to her directly on set, not through an interpreter. To her, she was a child, and she changed how the adults around her worked. Kaylee understood exactly what she was doing too. She said, I think that it's important having deaf actors play deaf characters, because deaf people are aware of their own language and they're more familiar with the culture. That's not a kid reciting a press line. That's someone who knew precisely why her presence in that film mattered, and who was right. And she was only getting started. She returned as Gia in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire in 2024, and the character grew. More screen time, more responsibility, a bigger place in the story. Away from the cameras, she was a senior at the Texas School for the Deaf in Austin, weeks away from graduating. She had a film in pre-production, a project called What Doesn't Kill You that she was set to star in, and she had talked publicly about where she hoped Gia's story would go next. 18 years old, a franchise behind her, a graduation in front of her, a film in development, and a career that hadn't properly begun. On Tuesday morning, the 21st of July, just before 3 a.m., in Frederick County, Maryland, the car Kaylee was riding in left the road and struck a culvert. She was a passenger. A 19-year-old man was driving. He survived, with injuries that were not life-threatening. Police have said excessive speed is believed to have been a contributing factor, and the investigation is ongoing. Kaylee was the only person in that car who didn't come home. she was 18. And then came the part that broke everyone. Her father, Joshua Hottle, told the world himself. He went live on Facebook for around 23 minutes, and he did it in American Sign Language. He explained that he was flying from Texas to Maryland to bring his daughter home. The caption he wrote was this: "I am taking a flight that I never would like to take." Sit with that for a second. The language his daughter used to reach the biggest creature in cinema. The language a Hollywood blockbuster put on screen in front of millions of people is the same language her father used to tell the world he had lost her. Her school, the Texas School for the Deaf, said this: "It is with profound sadness that we share the heartbreaking news that one of our seniors, Kaylee Hottle, tragically passed away." There's a version of this story where a studio casts a hearing actor, teaches them a few signs, and nobody notices. That's not what happened. They cast a deaf girl. They put her language at the center of a blockbuster, and they let millions of people watch a child who couldn't hear become the only one who could understand a monster. There are deaf kids who saw Gia on a cinema screen and understood, maybe for the first time, that there was a place for them up there. Kaylee Hottle did that at 18. The films are still there. Gia is still there. Hands moving in the dark, talking to something the whole world was afraid of, and not being afraid at all. If Ja meant something to you, or to someone in your family, tell us in the comments. We'd genuinely like to read. Rest easy, Kaylee.